everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Humaira. If you're new here, if you're not, I apologize for bringing this video very late, but guys, I've missed you. I really have missed you so much, and this is, by the way, the fifth time or the fourth or the fifth time I'm actually filming this particular video. Anyway, as you would have seen by the title, this video is gonna be about wedding planning, how I plan my wedding, tips on how to save cost, what to prioritize, what to consider when planning your wedding. Yeah, I'm excited, guys. Before we get into the video, please thumbs up, subscribe if you're not, turn on your notification bell so you'll be the first to know when I upload a new video. And I wanted to also tell you that I'm making this video in two parts. So basically, this particular video that you're watching is going to be all things wedding related, and the next one, the part 2 of the video, is going to be dress fitting and all things outfit related. I hope you enjoy. I asked you guys on Instagram about a month ago what you guys wanted to see. Of course, you guys asked for a Q&A. The second most asked question was how to plan a wedding, or how I plan my wedding in particular. Excuse me. With me here, I have a couple of books which helped me organize my wedding, which helped me organize myself, and they were pretty much my best friends throughout my wedding plan. Here, I got this one from my friends Rashida and Saada. Thank you so much. This was really thoughtful and very kind and helpful of you guys, because this really actually organized my life. And then I have a rough wedding planner where I sketch out all the ideas and the thoughts that come to my mind. So it pretty much organizes everything for you. Like, for instance, 12 months before your date, it says here, meet and book a florist if you're having one, finalize your guest list, decide on a dress, go for wine or tasting or venue, whatever it is. Of course, you can substitute it for whatever you think would fit in that category. Make inquiries about your cake, start shopping for your bridesmaid dresses, book a hair and makeup artist or professionals or whatever it is you're having. You can write notes. Here's a note that I wrote when I started planning my wedding. It says, do not force things to go the way you want them to. Let them all come naturally. I had it at the back of my mind that not everything is going to go as planned. You should know that. I'm sure a lot of you guys watching this video are in the process of getting married, or just want to have an idea of what it's like to actually plan a wedding. And here's the thing, guys. When planning a wedding, plan ahead of time. I will discuss with you guys step by step on what I think should come first for you, what you should start considering before planning a wedding. And yeah, along the way you understand what I mean by plan ahead of time. So I've written down some of this is kind of how I went about planning my wedding. For me, the first thing to think of is date, because it ties down to so many things. For instance, without your date, you can't book your vendors. Without your date, you can't book your venue. Without your date, you can't have so many things. Of course, you can get your dress if you want in a good time, but yeah, your date is actually a very important thing for you to get out of the way before you start planning your wedding. Second is the guest list. This determines the size of the venue you're having. So let's say you're having planning to have a wedding of 500 guests. Your venue should be big enough to occupy 500 guests. And then, if possible for you, which is better for you actually, if you can find a venue that can occupy just 500 or 600 guests, around that, thereabouts, just around 500 to 600 guests, your decor looks so much nicer when the entire venue is catered to 500 or 600 guests, if I'm making sense. Because just around 500 to 600 guests, your decor looks so much nicer when the entire venue is catered to 500 or 600 guests, if I'm making sense. Because if, let's say, for instance, you're hosting 500 guests, and then you get a venue of, let's say, 1,000, which is so big that it overwhelms your decor, if I'm making sense. I don't know about you, but I like weddings to be quite intimate. Of course, you don't want it crowded, but then you don't want too much space, because then people are not really communicating with each other. So when planning a wedding or an event of 500 people, try to get a venue of 500 to 600, 700 max. Your decoration actually looks so much better when it's in like a place that you can fill up, if that makes sense. Also, it's way cheaper for you that way. If a venue of 500 is gonna cost, let's say, 100,000 naira, a venue of 1,000 is definitely going to cost either double the amount or just a little bit under that. Put in mind that the number of guests actually is important when it comes to selecting your venue. Another important thing is for you to know that the venue can actually provide what you want them to provide. Also, do know that if they can't, they won't actually tell you in good time. A lot of the times they don't. Make sure the venue can provide whatever it is, or can accommodate whatever it is you want to put in that venue. That is when it comes to your decoration. Make sure that if, let's say, you're sourcing from outside of, if the venue cannot provide what you want and you want to go ahead and source outside, make sure if you are doing that, that whatever it is you're sourcing is actually going to accommodate, the venue is actually going to accommodate that. What you don't want is pay a lot of money for people to come over, only to find out that the venue you want them to decorate for you can't accommodate whatever it is they're decorating, or they don't have enough maybe power to generate whatever it is you're putting there, or they don't have enough space to have that particular thing you want to mount. So always ask, do make sure that you are on the same page, they understand you clearly and you understand them clearly. Also, to save on cost, venues actually come with the decoration. So if you are comfortable with what they are giving you, what they are offering you, of course, go ahead with that. It's actually cheaper for you to do that than to actually source from outside. So if you're to book ahead of time, it will actually save you some money, rather than you having a last minute, which I am guilty of. It's so much better for you to book ahead of time. It's safer for you to do that, because what you don't want is to book a date that someone has already booked. Then you're left with nothing. You now have to start scouring around looking for another venue, which might not even do what that would do for you. So basically what I'm trying to say is, make sure you book ahead of time. It's so much easier for you. You have more flexibility to do whatever you want. You have more freedom to do whatever you want. And then I would like to speak on invitations. So when inviting people, which, hold on guys, it is the number one waste of money, the biggest waste of money, effort and time. So let me give you guys a story. When planning my wedding, I was trying to find any company that produces invitation cards, designs invitation cards here. So all the amounts I was getting back were ridiculous. Absolutely, it was ridiculous. I was like, this is a piece of paper that someone might actually pack trash with, someone might tear, someone might use to fan himself, someone might use to do whatever. I said I wasn't going to spend that much on invitation cards. And I told my mom, because I was going to Istanbul at the time, I told my mom I'll make my invitation cards when I get there. And it was so much cheaper for me to do that, I thought. I went to Istanbul, designed my invitation card, did everything. It was way cheaper. But when I totally forgot that, okay, if you're coming back, you have to bring them back with you, which cost me so much to pay cargo for the invitation cards because they were heavy. I brought them to Nigeria only to find out that they were actually contraband. They were seized by the custom. I was told I had to pay a ridiculous amount, and that moment I was just like, okay, it means I'm gonna have to print more new cards here. But then, you know how our country is. I found they were like, okay, you can pay something and take them with you. I did that. I took my invitation cards with me. I ended up spending, if not more than I would have if I got my invitation cards here. I mean, if I were to do this again, I wouldn't print out cards. Trust me, I wouldn't print out cards. It's like a waste of money, to be honest. I would design an e-invitation, send it to people. If I need to be formal, I will print out maybe just a few number of cards that I need to formalize, maybe just send out to people that are more formal. Because a lot of the times people actually misplace their cards. That's why you don't give cards early. People will lose their cards, but when it's on the phone, they get reminded. Or when someone speaks about your wedding and they're like, oh yeah, what's the date? They go through their phone and see. However, when you have a card, a lot of the times people misplace it. So in my opinion, a way to save money is your invitation cards. Just do like an e-thing. Have someone design your invitation. There's so many people out there that just design online invitation, send it as media for you. It's so much easier and so much more convenient. You don't have to start going houses to houses giving out invitation cards. You can just mark out on your WhatsApp who you want to send out the invite to, and that's it. The only time you need a card, a visible, like a physical card for you, which I will say, guys, is the most important one, is the access card. Because you know how our weddings are, they tend to be crowded. 9 out of 10, about, let's say 30% of the people that come to your wedding are actually not invited. A lot of the times, maybe a friend of a friend, or a friend of a cousin, or a friend of a friend of a cousin, some ridiculous thing. So when you have access card, only people with access card can access your wedding. And also make sure when designing your access card, design a card that is complicated for people to actually duplicate, because people can forge things. That happened at my wedding, guys. My access card was actually a complicated one to actually forge, but I don't know how it happened. After everything was over, my auntie and my sister were going through, they saw a lot of forged ones. So one, be very careful with the security you have. Make sure they know what they're doing. There are a lot of security companies that actually all they do is provide good security for you, especially in wedding. Because what you don't want is having a fight or crowd that you didn't even invite at your wedding trying to get in, and then having your security guys get overwhelmed by the crowd and letting them go in. So make sure you invest in good security when having an event. Also, make sure your access cards are very, very difficult to duplicate or forge. Yeah. That brings me on to the events. So a lot of the times we see weddings on Instagram. It's not all that. Instagram wedding is all a hype. Just try to keep things simple, guys. You can have a simple, beautiful, elegant wedding. You can have a simple yet dramatic wedding. It's gonna be simple, but you can dramatize in some aspects. You don't have to go out of your way to, because a lot of the times when you try to go out of your way, that's when it becomes a disaster. And yeah, just keep things simple. That way you save a lot of money. I mean, if you want to go all out, do that. If you can afford to do that, go all out. But if you can't, you don't have to. Please don't suffocate yourself. If you can't afford this, you don't have to have it. Of course, society nowadays will put on you that you have to have this person be at your wedding, you have to have this at your wedding to have a beautiful wedding, or a wedding that is talked about, which I still don't get why. If your wedding, one thing is for sure, if people come to your wedding and eat good food, they will always remember your wedding. Nobody remembers your designer, your dress designer. Nobody remembers who decorated your wedding, unless they wanted that at their wedding and they asked for it. Nobody remembers. But when they have good food, and good music, people will always remember your wedding. So what I'm trying to say is, don't be pressurized by the voices outside. You don't have to go out of your way to please people. You just can't. At the end of the day, one way or the other, people will always criticize. You can have the best wedding, you can have the most extravagant wedding, you can have the most beautiful wedding. In your opinion, someone out there is like, what did she just do? So you can't please everyone. Do what your heart feels comfortable with, and your account as well, your parents' account if they're the ones paying, of course. Just keep things simple. You can save a lot of money by doing that. I remember I said to my aunt, who, shout out to Aunt Bilky, who was my event planner, I said I didn't want the usual coming down the aisle thing, husband and wife, and then everyone's staring at you, and it's just so awkward, and it's just so weird to me. I just didn't like the idea of that. So when I was telling her, she said to me, she was at a wedding just before that in Sudan, I believe she said, where the bride and the groom were revealed to the crowd. And immediately she said that, I was like, oh yes, I wanted that. We had that. And I remember I said the seating arrangement, I wanted it to be intimate. I didn't want like separation. You know how the aisle will just separate this side of the family and maybe the groom side and the bride side. I wanted to have like a round, intimate thing. Yeah, people were confused when they got into the hall that all the seats were like in a U shape. They were asking, where is the bride coming in from? People were just so confused. And the stage was actually covered. When everyone was seated, my flower girls came with the flower petals, and they sat on the stage, and then people were still like, okay, what is going on? And we were revealed, and everyone was like so surprised, like, wow, it was really so nice. So what I'm trying to say is, just be different. You don't have to be same as everyone. You don't have to do the same thing everyone is doing. Just do what you think is right for you, not what society is telling you have to do. Next, I would like to talk about food. Like I said to you guys, food is very, very important. That is something you cannot compromise. Food, people will always remember. If you're serving jollof rice, what I want with you is to serve the best jollof rice. One people will always remember. Your food doesn't have to be extra. Just make sure that whoever is cooking it knows what they're doing. And also make sure that everyone is served, because at the end of the day, what you don't want to have is people saying they didn't get food. Make sure there is enough food for everyone. I had this after my wedding, I was told that some of my bridesmaids actually didn't get food, which I was so mad about, because I was like, how did that happen? So for my Kamu event, we had like an open invitation kind of a situation, because we have a very, very big family. And the reason why we had a big and open event was because we wanted to restrict the dinner event. We wanted to have just 500 guests. At least at first we did. Basically what happened was, because I had to outfit change. Before we got back, food was served. The mistake they made was they didn't put aside food for the bridesmaids. Mind you, there was a lot of food, but they weren't served. What happened was, they thought this side of the venue was actually served. They were serving the other side. I had no idea. My sisters were too busy. My friends were too busy to notice that my other guests were not served. Nobody said anything, and I believe it's our fault. So here's the thing. Please, when planning your wedding, have people assigned to different group of people. So for me, the people that made things so much easier for me were my sister, my friend Mariam, my cousin Asma'u, and my two friends Rashida and Saada. So these 5 people, basically, they took the weight off my shoulders. My sister was in charge of all things family related. My friend Mariam was in charge of all things groom and groomsmen related. My cousin Asma was in charge of all things vendor related. You ask her, she was the one in charge of that. And my dress and outfits were Saada and Rashida. I was with them in Istanbul, so they helped me out with all things outfit related, which I'll discuss in the next video. Always remember that You as a bride, you can't have your eyes on everything. You can't be in charge of everything. As I have told you guys in the Q&A, I like to be in control of things. I like to know what is happening around me. But for some weird reason, for my wedding, I didn't want to worry about anything or anyone. I have already assigned duties to everyone. My sister Husna as well, was in charge of transportation. I was so chilled. Like I said to you guys, date is very, very important. When choosing your date, make sure you check the season you're choosing it in. We took the risk of choosing a date in September, which normally is like a rainy season. Oh god, that was a narrow escape, guys. What happened was, on my cam, which was on the 14th, we had an outdoor event. Just the night before my cam event, a wedding took place in that particular venue, and they had theirs outside as well, but it rained and ruined their entire wedding. I was literally going through my Instagram and I was looking at it like, my mom first called. She was like, and she said, yeah, Azami, because it might rain tomorrow as well. Guys, if I tell you the way me and my family prayed that night, my sisters woke up at night, Allah kasakara irwa gobe. We were all praying, Allah kasakara irwa gobe, praying that it doesn't rain the next day. And I remember I was getting my makeup done. My sister came in and she said to me, Kingadari awaje? My heart skipped. I started praying instantly. I was praying, Allah kasakara irwa, ya Allah kasakara irwa. Hi. Whenever I remember these moments, I laugh, guys. Miraculously, guys, another sister of mine came in and she said, Hadrana ya fito. And the way we shouted, Alhamdulillah, everyone was so happy. After my makeup, I came out and the sun was so bright. It was so hot. I remember that was one of the moments that we got wedding pictures that I loved the most. It was in that moment we shot that. The sun was so bright. I remember I took my fan because I was holding a fan. Yeah, I went like this to cover my face with the fan. And my makeup artist, shout out to you, peace, saw the picture. The moment she was like, can you hold on please? Let me take a picture of you like that. And she took the picture, and Emeka, my shout out to you, Bed, if you're watching this, he came to me. He was like, oh, hold on, Humaira, hold on. This is the picture I am talking about. Also, every time I see these pictures, they make me smile. So yeah, that was when we shot those pictures. Guys, let's talk about vendors. A lot of you guys were asking me about vendors. Book, again, back to date, book ahead of time. What happens with vendors is, I think every year or every 2 years, they kind of change their quotations. So if you're to book ahead of time, you might be able to save costs. Maybe let's say in 2021, they might be changing their quotation. If you know you're having your wedding in 2021 and you have a date set, you can actually save more when you book in 2020. I hope I'm making sense to you guys. For me, I was able to save cost on that. And also, if you can afford to have a wedding planner, which in my opinion we all should. I didn't have a wedding planner. I had my event planner. I had my aunt do that for me. I planned everything myself. But if you can afford to have a wedding planner, they save you so much time, so much energy, and so much money too, because they have affiliations with all the vendors. What they would charge you is different from what they would charge a wedding planner or an event planner. And maybe what you tell them you want, they know where to provide it, where to get it for you. And a lot of the times when it comes to the cost of things, they get discounts on things. Also, guys, one thing to keep in mind, the 3 things that, in my opinion, are things you don't compromise are your photographers, your MCs and DJs, and also your food. I've talked about food. I haven't spoken about photographers, but with photographers, if you're to go to your parents and you're like, okay, I want this photographer and he charges so amount of money, they're like, that's ridiculous. For Okomoto, you want to pay this amount of money. But to me, to be honest, I feel the photography is the one thing you keep for the rest of your life. The thing is, you can plan as big of a wedding as you want, as glamorous of a wedding as you want. If you don't have a good photographer to capture those beautiful moments and those beautiful moments in the wedding, you're pretty much just wasting money. You understand? If you have a good photographer that can capture great moments that you will cherish for the rest of your lives, moments that your grandkids, your great grandkids can look at, you will save that for the rest of your life. So to me, I can't compromise in my photography. Videography as well, if you can have it for the rest of your life, don't cheap out on your photography is what I'm saying. Shout out to Bed for taking amazing pictures and capturing the best moments. Or also, to save money on photography, I used the same company because they provided, at the time, I don't know if they still do, they provided photography and videography as well. So I used them, the one same company, the Bed Studio. I was lucky enough to have one company do both things. And another place to not compromise or cut down on is your MCs and your DJs. In the reality of things, your MC is actually the person that can make or break your event. Yes, I repeat, your MCs can make or break your event. If you don't have good MCs that can organize your crowd, we as Nigerians, we are very loud. We can be very disorganized. If you don't have someone that can control the crowd, your wedding is going to be a mess. If you don't have someone that can entertain the crowd, if you don't have someone that knows what they're talking about, your wedding is going to be boring and all over the place as well. Same for your DJs. If your DJ is not good at what he does, if he doesn't know what music to put in what moments, of course you have a playlist. You can give that to your DJ, but then there are a lot of moments that he alone can tell, okay, this music suits this moment. Okay, when the bride comes in, after the bride sits down, I want to play this music. When it's time to dance, have people uplift people and make people jump and dance and remember the moments. Make sure you find good MCs. Make sure you find good DJs. They can make or break your event, period. Brides, as a bride, I would say I am guilty of this. I wasn't in the moment. So many moments I don't even remember. I don't remember them happening. So I would say be in the moment, enjoy your wedding. So cherish those moments, enjoy it. Forget who is looking at you. Don't be shy. Try not to be shy. Of course, it's difficult for you not to be if you're the shy one. But try not to be shy because it's a once in a lifetime thing. Enjoy your moments, enjoy the celebration with your family. You're gonna have it just once. Inshallah, it's gonna be the only one for you. Also, one thing I wanted to talk about is relationship. Build a relationship with your vendors. Build a relationship with your photographer, because you get more beautiful pictures. One, if you're not comfortable with a photographer, you can be stiff, it can be awkward, but when you have a relationship, it's easier for you to take the pictures and have beautiful moments. That I wanted to speak on. Also, what else? I think that's pretty much it. Just maybe answer the questions you guys sent. How do you manage money? How do you prioritize? Again, if you know, just put your priorities aside. Actually, let me make it 4 things that you don't compromise: your photographers, your videographers, if you're lucky to have 2 in 1, your MCs and DJs, if you're lucky you get package deal, your security, that you don't compromise as well. It's not just about the money. If they are good at what they do, go with them. The food, if they know what they're doing, you don't have to do extras. If your food tastes banging, people will always remember. And set your priorities aside. Know what you can't cut down cost on. How to minimize cost. So if you can afford to have an event planner, they can save you cost. If you can avoid printing invitation cards, you can save so much money. If you can book ahead of time, you can save so much money. Did you have a budget? I didn't have a budget, but I knew my limits. I knew I wasn't going to pay 5 million naira for a photographer, or if you can afford to do that, by all means, do you. How long did it take to plan your wedding? It took me 4 to 6 months, I think. Yeah, 4 to 6 months to plan my wedding. What comes first? Dates again. What can wait last minute? There's nothing to waste last minute. I don't think you should wait last minute for anything when it comes to wedding, because you never know how it will go. That's why you plan ahead of time, because that way you can have flexibility, you can have freedom to do whatever you want. Did everything go as planned? No, not everything went as planned. I mean, is there ever a wedding that goes as planned? I don't think there is. But Alhamdulillah, we had a beautiful wedding. We had a memorable one, and we had fun. That's basically it. Enjoy the moment. Enjoy. Have a good time. It doesn't matter if it goes as planned or not. If you have a good time, you will forget it didn't. How were you able to handle preparations? Again, I assigned duties to people I trusted. The people, so surround yourself with people you trust, people that know you, people you know you can count on, people that can make decisions for you even in your absence, that they know you're not going to dislike. If you could change anything, what would you change? What would I change? I will make sure I assign someone to take care of my bridesmaids. I will make sure, my wedding, my dress malfunction, which I'll talk about in the next video. And I think that pretty much brings us to the end of this video, guys. I actually enjoyed it. It brought back so many memories. It was fun filming for you guys. It's, I think, probably 2 a.m. now. I need to go clean up and go to bed, but alhamdulillah, I missed you guys so much. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, give this video a thumbs up, and subscribe if you're not. Join the family. Turn on your notification bell so you'll be notified when I upload a new video. You don't miss out. And yeah, share the video as well. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye.